tray of cookies, frozen cookies. And I was trying to get out from the walk-in. He was like forcing his groin area against my back.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Bick.
Hey, what's up, man?
How
Thanks
you doing?
for having me. Good, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, definitely, man. Congratulations on your success. I see that you're number, 260, 269 on the ratings in the whole world for podcasts.
Yeah, we just got number 70 for society and culture, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, like you're really climbing the charts, insane at an insane pace.
It's coming together, man. It's coming together. It's found a good market, and hard work, consistency goes a long way in it.
Did you ever think that, like thinking back from where you were, did you think you would be this far along in the podcasting career?
No, I never even thought I'd be a podcaster. It's pretty crazy to think about. But, here I am. You got to just roll with the punches in life and see where it brings you. And it brought me to here. And, I'm grateful and just excited to keep going.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I saw your interview with Rappaport. And it was pretty funny, man. Shout out to Rappaport.
He's a good
You were
dude.
talking about how you were labeled a chomo, man. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why they labeled you a chomo, and like what it was like to be like people even think of you in that like regards. Like, was it pissing you off at times? Like, did it get to a point where it was like, dude, I'm not that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I got labeled the chomo because of that. I was white, I was young, and I had glasses, which are kind of like the issued glasses that they give out, like those, thick black frame glasses. And usually people in federal prison are not my age. So I was a 21-year-old white kid. So when I said that I was that I wasn't a sex offender, they said that's what they all say. Because I guess the sex offenders will use them being there for fraud as a cover story. So it wasn't believable that a 21-year-old kid was in the federal prison system for fraud. So, it was annoying, man. It was annoying to always have to like show my paperwork and try to prove to people. But luckily, like there were some good guards that would get the record straight and things like that. But it was definitely frustrating, especially when you're labeled like the scum of the earth. Like that's the worst thing you could possibly be called.
I know they made you sit at a table at one point, right?
Yeah, my very first time at Fort Dix, man, going on the east side when I would switch sides, I went to sit at a table and they made me get up from the table. And that was definitely like the most embarrassing day of my life, 100%.
See, that's one thing, man. You cannot show any sign of stuff like I remember being in prison, them telling me get up. And I'm like, no. Like, I know how this is supposed to go. No, I'm not getting up. I'm not going where you tell me. It's not working like that. So we're going to figure it out another way,
Yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted to get out of there safely. I didn't want to get any trouble or anything like that. So I made the decision to get up and go to the other table.
But did you feel like, so once you did that, did you feel like they were trying to take advantage of you more?
I guess somewhat. I mean, I really just didn't know the ropes of the prison, It was, I was just trying to navigate it. No one prepares you for this stuff, especially when you don't have any criminal history. You've never been in prison before. So this was all new terrain for me. The only thing I'd ever watched in my life was Orange is the New Black. So it's just, it's crazy.
So you're like experiencing all these new things and it's brand new for you, but
yeah,
you're
dude. It's wild.
So you had a situation where a guard came on to you. Like, can you explain that situation? Like you're going to your job. You worked in the kitchen at the time, right?
Yeah, pretty much this guard like was taking a liking to me, let me skip the chow line, get extras, seconds, let me used to smuggle out bricks of Philadelphia cream cheese. And what happened is that one day, he tried to make a move on me. I was scooping the muffin mix and started with an elbow rub, and that turned into like a thigh rub, and then his hand was like kind of on my butt.
Yeah, but when hold up, when he first tried to touch you, you weren't like, "What the fuck, man?"
No, because I knew how this shit went. Like I was traumatized from just getting out of the shoe. I didn't want to go back to the shoe. I didn't want anything that could, remotely get me into any trouble. There's no cameras. It's just me and him. So I was on my own. I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to piss this guy off. He has all the power. If I do one thing to piss him off, then it's over for me.
So he grabs your ass. What happens next?
Right, it was just like a slight like slide by, nothing too crazy. But either way, he was still touching me. Then we left it alone for a couple weeks, and then it happened again in the walk-in cooler. He made me like slide past him with like a tray of what's it called? A tray of cookies, frozen cookies. And I was trying to get out from the walk-in. He was like forcing his groin area against my back. it was wild. Yeah, man, it was some crazy shit. So after that, me and my bunkmate reported it because everyone knew at the camp what was going on. Like people saw the way he was looking at me and stuff like that. But I mean, the prison system covered it up.
Now, what happens when you drop the slip? Because I know about people dropping slips, man. And usually when you drop a slip against a guard, the other guards are like, they're all buddies, right?
Yeah. The other guards all thought that guy was a creep and a weirdo. He was kind of on his own, so there was no ramifications. I think no one wanted to get in trouble or anything. So the other guards left me alone. Honestly, if anything, that whole instance helped me. They didn't bother me. No one wanted to like get accused or leave me alone or have it get deemed as retaliation.
So now you go back to the job, right? The same job where this guy was trying to do this shit. What is he still there? Are you still working around him?
No, they made him go work at the Medium after that. He was banned from the camp, and I guess after the day I left, he was allowed to start working at the camp again. It's pretty wild. Yeah, and I guess there was an investigation. I never heard anything back from it. It's just the whole thing's crazy.
Did you out this guy on
I didn't drop his name. I'm not going to drop his name, but I've told the story on my podcast, on my social media. Everyone thinks it's crazy, It's a crazy situation.
It's like really wild because it's a guard. You would think you hear stories about other inmates doing that to people.
I know. And this is a guard, man. This is a guard. I mean, everything happens for a reason. It gave me, this crazy story, something to talk about. The story's gone viral. It brings more attention to what I'm doing. So, what we think is a bad moment in our lives turns out to be some of the best moments that could ever happen to us.
Blessing in disguise, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you know about that too.
Of course. So after all this happens, do you stay at that prison? And what kind of prison is it? Is it set up like, is it dorms or?
Yeah, it's a camp, very laid back, like 100 inmates. It's like club fed. There's a bocce ball court, there's a volleyball court, there's a track, there's a gym, softball field. It's nice. That's 4-man rooms, no doors, but there's not that many inmates, so normally it's just 2-man rooms, 2 people in the room, and they're bunk beds, 1 on each side, 2 desks, and they're like little alcoves, cubby areas. And there's 4
kind of
wings.
Stuff? Was there any kind of crazy stuff going on in there, fights and things like that?
Not at the camp. Everyone's laid back, Everyone's just hanging out. Maybe there'd be some arguments, but no one's trying to leave the camp. No one's trying to get into any trouble.
Is that the one where you said that people were running off and coming back?
Yeah, the camp is where people were running off into the woods, bringing back fast food, cell phones, everything, you name it. They had a dog program there. It was pretty crazy.
So when you first see these people, how did you know they were leaving the camp? Did you see like some fast food wrappers or something? And you're like, yo, where'd you get that from?
Yeah, at night, like my window overlooked like the tennis court area, and I used to see these individuals run back through the woods and kind of see what goes on. I was always very nosy, so I was always trying to watch and see what these people did. And people would talk, people say stuff at the small camp, word gets around.
And you had money on your books at this point, right?
Yeah, I always had money on my books. I could get whatever, but it was just, it was fun seeing and watching everything go down.
And this was the first prison you went to where this
No,
type of stuff was
the
happening?
this is the last prison. This is from my last year.
Oh, so you've been through, you're at the end of the road at this point.
Yeah, this was my last year. I finally got to a sweet spot. Had a rough prison, experience, and then I got to the end, and it was nice. Great place to do time. I wish I did my whole 3 years there, but then I wouldn't have had the story I have now. So it's all, it all happens for a reason.
Were people in there like, did everyone have a cell phone? They're all dancing and shit for TikTok videos?
Yeah, everyone was going live. They were FaceTiming their girlfriends, their kids, playing games, gambling, sports betting. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
You see, that type of shit blows my mind because I live in Connecticut. I've been to prison multiple times, state prison, and the places where I've been, you can't get away with shit like that, man. Like you can't. I can't see. I can't even picture having a cell phone in any of the places where I've been. Maybe inside a dorm room or something.
It's crazy, man. The feds are a wholly different ball game.
So, to the people out there that don't know, you want to tell the people what you went to prison for?
So I went to prison for fraud and money laundering relating to like a concert and electronic business I was running. This was 2016. I got sentenced. But all the stuff kind of happened when I was 17, 18 years old. And while that was all going on, I owned a nightclub called Tuxedo Junction in Danbury, Connecticut.
It was probably one of the most hopping clubs at that time.
Yeah, for electronic dance music, it definitely was. It was a crazy place.
And then I seen your interview with Chris Webby. Shout out to Chris Webby, Connecticut's own.
Yeah, great dude, man. I'm really glad he gave me that interview. That was a big one for us, and we got the Chevy Chase one dropping on Thursday this week, which is very exciting. So
that's awesome, man.
We're pumped for that. That's going to be a game changer for us.
Yeah, you're really bringing it up to a new level, and I
dude, it's season 2 of the podcast. Yeah, we got a new studio now in Danbury, Connecticut. Got my own studio. Which is exciting. So we're
it's closer to you. You don't have to drive all the way up to
dude,
Hyde Park, right?
That drive was fucked, man. It was.
I did that drive
on me.
I did that drive. What?
Couple times.
Yeah,
a couple times.
3.
Yeah. No, that drive, dude, it does a number on you because you drive there and back, which is 2 hours on its own. And after a day of interviewing and this and that, it's rough.
I mean, I do this full time, man. I'm always grinding, trying to get new guests. I don't think people really understand how much of a grind that goes into this, the editing, the interviewing, the setting things up. It's tiring.
Dude, half my day is scheduling people, logistics, canceling, moving around, booking stuff. Then I do the editing and then, posting. It's a lot. And then you got to do interviews and it's a full day's worth of work.
You've had an array of guests on your show. Do you want to tell the people some of the guests that's been on your show and some of the guests that are going to be on your show?
I mean, we've had you. We've had, Chad Marks, Chicky, Jeff Asher, a lot of people. We're approaching episode 70, which is kind of crazy because I just started in January. I mean, we have a lot of people, not really that anyone big that anyone knows coming up, but just people that reach out that want to come on the show. I mean, Chevy Chase is a big one. We're working on getting some big names on the pod, and we're excited. We got a lot happening.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. You started trying to making a career out of going to prison. I've noticed a lot of people. It's kind of like a movement of people who have been to prison and they're making a career out of telling their stories on the internet. It's pretty crazy.
It's insane, man. It really is. I got lucky. I found something that not everyone else was doing, and I, put the production value together for it. And it's a mix of who I am and my story and the guests we have, and it's a good formula. We got something that's working.
So are you going to tell some of your stories on your podcast too? Because it's mainly interviews, right?
No, it's pretty much just interviews. I mean, occasionally if a story relates to mine, but the podcast isn't about me. And I think that's why it's had success. It's about, you know, the other stories and changing their lives.
The TikTok is more focused on you, right?
Yeah, I've gotten back into telling some of my own stories again now on TikTok because that's what the algorithms want. But otherwise, for the most part, I like to keep it about everyone else. I like telling other people's stories. I think they're fascinating and interesting.
I seen one of your clips. You were talking about how differently they treat Donald Trump compared to other people. They came raiding your house with the FBI
Yeah,
agents and everything.
it's
It's
crazy.
yeah, it's wild. Like the comparisons they're not even comparable.
Yeah.
I seen a video today. Him holding a gun.
Who, Trump?
Yeah, like
Nah, that can't be. He's not holding a gun. It's
he
fake
bought
news,
a
man.
firearm. He bought a firearm today. They said.
I don't think so.
He was standing near a gun and he was touching on it and things.
It's got to be a fake one, Staxx. Come on, man.
I'm like, my friend goes, yeah,
Why
he could buy a gun. I'm like, bro, he's on bond, man.
I don't know.
Even if you're the president, I don't think you can buy a gun, right?
I don't know how that works. I couldn't tell you.
Are you ever thinking about getting your record expunged?
Maybe when the time comes, but it hasn't affected me at all. You know, I guess it would be cool to, you know, get a pardon for my work maybe down the road, but it's not a pressing issue.
I mean, you just got out though, so I think you got to wait at least 7 years.
Yeah, it was
right?
4. I think for the feds it's 5, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not too concerned about it.
So while you were in prison, you got any other crazy stories you could tell me about?
I mean, I saw a guy get his, you know, finger bitten off one time. He was a guy at Wyatt in Rhode Island, the detention center. A guy cut another guy in the lunch line, and they started fighting. And then unit goes on lockdown. Then all of a sudden, you see it like the little bit of the finger like fly across the room, and there's blood. And they, like blood got in the food, so they had to. Yeah, they had to we had to wait like several more hours because they had to redo all the food, and we ended up getting a bagged lunch. It was crazy. All over this guy just cut the line in front of this guy, tried the wrong guy, and it was just like a blowout.
Have you seen a lot of that when you were in prison on your way towards the camp?
Not really. I didn't see too many fights. You would see instances, things where things would get escalated, but most of the time people don't want to get kicked out of there or go to the box or the hole. You know, people talk a big game, but they don't really pull through on it. I wasn't at like a high security prison.
They didn't go in the back. They wouldn't go in the back.
Maybe in like the bathrooms or stuff, but it would get handled very quickly. A lot of people were more just like more talk and calling the bluff than anything.
Yeah, usually when you're about action, they usually back down pretty fast, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for the future with your podcast, with the way it's going, everything. It's a blessing, man. It shows me that I can take this to a whole nother level, and sky's the limit, you know?
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, just keep up consistent, putting it into it, making it your focus, and always look at other ways how you can tweak it, you know? Study what other people are doing, see how you can make that better.
Definitely, man. Every day, try to, improve.
Absolutely.
I wish you nothing but success on the future, man. I got some more jail stories for you too, man. If you ever want me to swing through.
We'll figure something out, man. Definitely.
I got one where a kid bit a guard's face and spit the chunk at him, man. We're all trapped in this hallway.
You didn't give me the good stuff on the first pod, huh?
Oh man, when I was a kid, they pushed me into the adult prison, and I come walking in with all my commissary, and they're all yelling and shit, man. Oh man, I got some stories for you.
Sounds good, man. We'll get you on it again at some point.
Definitely, man. You got anyone you want to give a shout out before you go?
Just shout out to everyone that tunes in the show and supports us. It means a lot, and they can check us out at ianbick.com. And if they want to come on the show, we have a form that individuals could fill out at ianbick.com to come on the show.
Definitely, man. If you guys like this type of content, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like it, start your own podcast. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.